Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Oh, literally, just as I go live, someone's revving a motorbike up outside. Honestly, it's like they know. They know. My neighbours know. I'm just about to start a live stream. Let's do something to cause some noise. Anyway. So I hope you're all well. I'm good, and still sweltering. It's hot. It's not that hot actually here in Spain. It's 28 degrees. That is positively cold compared to how it has been lately. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. I hope you all are good as well. Oh my God, this true crime world. Once you start in the true crime world, looking at cases, there's not a day goes by, not an hour that goes by, that you're not amazed by some crap that comes out or something that you could never imagine could have ever happened. True crime is definitely stranger than fiction. And then it's so difficult then to watch crime programs because, if they're not real, you just think, there's more real things happen than that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, anyway, that's where we are today because we're going to look at three developments in three cases that we've been following. And one in particular, the Idaho 4 case, we're going to look at that first. The twonk Brian Koberger, he's the turd that won't flush, isn't he? He pled guilty and he got a plea deal, so he avoided the death penalty. And we've been through it all. The families of his victims had to sit through and hear about all the details of the injuries to their four loved ones. And he went through all that. We had the victim impact statements, blah, de, blah, de, bloody, blah. And now this guy, this tosser, he's taken back his not guilty, his guilty plea. He's not guilty, according to him. He's the victim here. And of course, there's a lot of Koberger fans out there that'll be like, yeah, no, he's not guilty. He's not guilty. A load of delusional fools, in my opinion. But anyway, there you go. Everyone's got their opinion. So he's changing his plea. So we're going to look at that first, or he wants to. Whether he'll be able to do it or not, I just, surely this guy is not going to be allowed to do this. But who knows? In the crazy world of true crime, everything's possible, isn't it? So we're going to look at that first. Then we're going to look at just what the developments in the David case, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the little girl. I mean, really, that's how we should refer to Celeste. She was a little girl. She was 14 years old. She never got past her 14th birthday. She never got to 15. And this man allegedly murdered her. Oh, he doesn't look suspicious at all. Look at that. Just a normal, upstanding member of society. Nothing to see here, is there? Anyway, there's been developments in that case in that it is going to trial. So we've had the last couple of weeks, we've had the preliminary hearings, the grand jury, the way it works in America, they have to decide whether he should go to trial or not. Anyway, he's going to trial. But the other thing that has come up as well is, it seems like Celeste sent some quite strange messages to him. But I think what we have to remember about Celeste is she was a little girl dealing with an adult relationship. And some of her messages are quite strange. And of course, it turned out that she actually had an abortion at 13. 13. She had to deal with that. You know, those are decisions that even grown women, when they have to make that decision, they grapple with, they struggle with, they live with it for the rest of their lives. And this 13-year-old girl, she had to make that decision and live with it. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're going to talk about in that case. We're going to talk about other sort of messages that have come out from Celeste. I think this twonk, he's going to come up with some sort of defense where Celeste did it to herself, or he did it in self-defense even. You know, he's going to say she tried to kill him, he got the knife off her and killed her, or she killed herself. That's what he's, because I can't see otherwise where his defense is going. What defense does he have? You know, he had a body, dismembered body in his Tesla, and he was driving her around for months. Why? So I think that's what this twonk's going to come up with, that she tried to kill him. It was all an accident. Maybe he's trying to get off with manslaughter. I don't know. Anyway, we'll find out, because it is going to trial. So that's the most important news, is the case is going to trial. And the third thing we're going to talk about is this lady. We're still talking about her. Last day in January this year was the day that 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie disappeared without a trace, was beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, or whatever happened to her. And we're no further on, as far as we know, to know what happened to her. And we're going to talk about that because Savannah, her daughter, one of her daughters, her famous daughter, who is a presenter on the Today Show in America, which is a very famous program, very popular. Savannah is very famous and very popular. She's made a new appeal, a fresh appeal. So we're going to look at that. Will it make any difference? Will this case ever be solved? Who knows? Were the ransom notes genuine? Anyway, we're going to look at the appeal and we're going to see what we think. So those are the three things we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to talk about the CUNT Koberger and his decision to ask for a new trial. He pled guilty, but he was just misled. He was misled by his lawyer, and he should never have done it, and he's innocent. We're going to read the statement that he's made. Oh my God, those poor families. He is literally the turd that won't flush. But that's what we're going to talk about first. But first, when I say first, of course, there's still some waffle to go through. I'm going to have a little waffle. I was thinking a lot this morning. I don't know about you, but I am what you might call an early bird. You know, I like to do things in the morning when I'm full of energy, and, you know, as the day goes on, my energy wanes, and when it comes to the evening time, there's literally doesn't exist. I'm just watching the telly or having something nice to eat, or, you know, I'm not an evening person at all, though I can get a bit of a second wind around 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, I was thinking about it today, and I was thinking how different people can be. So I just want to tell you, this was my evening and morning. Is this you? Or, you know, are you an early bird or are you a night owl? You know, there seems to be two types of people, doesn't there? And now I'm normally an early bird, but because at the moment I'm taking my son to work and picking him up, more importantly, because sometimes now in the summer he finishes quite late at night, like at 12:30. In the early hours of the morning. Well, you know, normally I would be well in bed by then, and then I like to get up at 6 o'clock. If I could go to bed and wake up whenever I wanted, I would go to bed at 10 o'clock in the evening, and or 10 or 11 at a push, and I'd be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And as I say, I don't get anything done in the evenings. Everything that I need to get done, I get done in the morning. So I was thinking about last night. So last night, I had to go and pick up number one son. He was supposed to finish at 12:30. He finished at 1:30. So I was sitting around the beach. I mean, it was lovely. I did post a little video. It was lovely. I took the dogs for a walk along the beach. It was lovely, and because I'd had a nap earlier in the evening, I was okay. We got home, so 2 o'clock. Then I ended up, of course, then I've sort of woken up, so it takes me a while to wind down again. Anyway, to cut a long story short, by the time I went to bed, it was 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. And I was up this morning at 7 a.m. So I'd literally 4 hours sleep, but that's okay, to be honest. 4 hours uninterrupted sleep for me is okay. So I was thinking about what I've done this morning. So, I might not do anything for the rest of the day. So I've got up this morning at 7. I've obviously sorted the dogs out and all that kind of thing. Put a wash on and hung it out when it's finished. I've ironed my son's work shirts. I've been to the supermarket. I've been to the pharmacy. A couple of videos. Why is that whirring? Whirring? Oh, I'm back. So yeah, I've gone to the supermarket. I've gone to the pharmacy. I've done the washing. I've hung the wash, ironed the shirts. I had the live. I've posted some other videos. I've done some research. I've done all that. I'm not blowing my own trumpet. I'm just trying to explain how I am an early bird. And now I'm on this live, and I'll do this live, and then the thing is, by the time number one son gets up, I'll probably be sat having my lunch, watching Bargain Hunt, and he'll get up and he'll think, oh, just sat there with their feet up watching. This is because we sort of, that's the only way I can even have my son living here, that we can even tolerate each other, is we do have opposite. He's a night owl. He's the opposite. So he'll be up all night and sleep all day if he gets a chance. Obviously, he has to go to work. So he's not going to be sleeping all day today because he's got to go to work about 1 o'clock. But I just always think when he comes downstairs, it's like I've just sat there with my feet up. But he doesn't. Oh, what was the other thing I did? Oh, so I bumped into someone when I went to the pharmacy who I haven't seen for ages. We had a chat. So I've been to the pharmacy, I've been to the supermarket, I've had a chat with an old friend that I haven't seen for ages. I've prepared the live. I've put the washing in and hung it out when it's finished. I've ironed the shirts. I've got the lunch ready, or at least prepared. These are the things that in the morning I am full of energy, but that'll be it now for me. When I say it'll be it, won't quite be it. But I've got to take my son to work, then I'll probably come back, have a nap, and then who knows what will happen tonight. But night times are not my time. They just aren't, I've sort of given up, I haven't got to this age where I'm suddenly going to become productive in the evenings. I'm just not. I just have to accept it. We all have our personalities, don't we, in the way we are. And some of us are night owls and some of us are early birds. So I'm an early bird. Together, apparently it's all genetic. Goes back to Your genes, I'm a hunter-gatherer, that's why I'm up early. But I'm going to look into that one time for a video. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you about that because it made me think, and I think it's quite sort of funny, really, because, you know, that's the way you are. I've always been like that ever since I was young. I mean, okay, fair enough. When I was a teenager, I would sleep in later. Teenagers need a lot of sleep. Um, but once I was out of teenage years, I've always been an early bird, always. Okay, so I just was wanting to waffle about that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. All those great things you do to support my channel. The free ways, which is subscribing, liking, sharing the video, hyping the video, leaving a comment, etc. These are all free ways you can help my channel if you want to. And then very special thank you to those that go that little bit further, that become members or send Ko-fis or PayPal me, etc. Thank you so much for helping out my channel. Hello, lovely lurkers. How are you? How the devil are you? I hope you're well. Hope life's treating you well. Hello to replay crew. Same applies to you. Thank you for watching. And now let's see who's in the chat. So there's a few of you chatting. I can see that there's a few of you chatting. Hey, Darren. Hi. Oh, sorry. Hi, David. Hi, Darren. Oh, Koberger is a total CUNT. He is the epitome of a psychopath, isn't he? He's just playing with these victims' families even more. Yeah. Hi, Kelly. A roast chook. Kelly, what's a roast chook? You picked up a roast chook and gave shopping. Being delivered tonight. Yeah, it's good getting all the chores out of the way, Kelly. It does feel good. Once you've done it all, you know, then you can relax. It is a nice feeling. But, you know, as I say, my son is the opposite. He'll get up at 5 and then he wants to go shopping or do this or do that. And I'm like, too late for me now. If it doesn't happen, before 12 o'clock, especially in the summer, because of course in the summer it gets so hot, and also there's too many people around. So you go to the supermarket at 9 o'clock, there's nobody in there or not many people. You go to the supermarket even at 12 o'clock, and if you go to the supermarket at 5 in Spain, that's when all the Spanish go out. It's packed, chocker. Not only supermarkets, the centro comerciales, the shop, where you would buy your clothes and things like that. Too busy for me. I can't stand it. I just sit in the car and wait. Chicken. Oh, chicken. A roast chook is a roast chicken. Is that an Australianism, Kelly? Or did it just come out wrong? Oh, let's see. Yeah, and you know what, David? The same applies to me for everything. So if I had to go to Leroy Merlin, which is like a home base, if you need paint or need something, not that I've done any painting now for ages. I've still got painting to do up on the roof, but it's just too hot. I'm there. As soon as it opens, I'm there. And I'm in and out in 15 minutes before it starts to get busy, but there you go. Okay. So let's start with that. We're going to talk about the CUNT that is Bryan Kohberger. oh my God. You know, first of all, I just want to send out my condolences to his victims. Now, you know, since Koberger pled guilty and was sentenced to life without parole, I've really tried not to talk about him at all. You know, he's other podcasters, they're always talking about him. He loves that. To me, he would love that. He would love being talked about. All that matters are these four young people that he killed, you know, in a horrible, just a horrible attack, wasn't it? You know, it was just like senseless. I mean, the thing is, the only thing about the only thing about Koberger pleading guilty, because at first, you know, you think, oh, great, he's pled guilty. But of course, then you never get to find out what his reason was for doing it. You know, even though it'll be a reason that we won't understand, of course. We can't understand a twonk like this. We don't want to understand him, do we? You know, we don't, he's one of those twonks that you literally don't want to understand. If you understood him, you know, there'd be something wrong with you, wouldn't there? So, anyways, here are his victims. So, his victims were four young people with their whole life in front of them: Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Sana Canodle, and Ethan Chapin. So, I just first of all want to say a little prayer for them and send my condolences to their family because although you know the actual murders happened in 2022, so we're now in 2026, and this family is still being put through agony by this cunt. Do you know it's he's never going to stop. He's in prison. He's got bugger all else to do. He's a psychopath. He has to feel control, and this is his way. This is his way of exerting a bit more control, making that he'll be getting off on these families suffering, you know, because that's the sort of person he is. That's the total canut that he is. He's horrible, psycho. You know, he's the worst of the worst. But of course, there are twonks out there, and I'm sorry if you think that Brian Koberger is not guilty. You are a twonk, and you're disrespectful to the families of his victims. You know, he's as guilty as the hell that he is going to. He is complete, and I've put him in the hellhole. But of course, now he's back again. He is the turd who won't flush. He literally is the turd who won't flush, Brian Koberger. And to me, all my sympathy is with the families of these four lovely young people who just were living their lives. They were having fun. They were doing what young people do, being totally irresponsible. That look, if you can't be irresponsible when you're in your teens or whatever, you know that later on in life you're not going to be able to be irresponsible. So they were having a great time. They were up late. They were having a drink. They were doing whatever they were doing, and exactly what any young person should be able to do without being worried that some psycho is going to walk in through their door in the middle of the night and stab them to death. Disgusting. This man, this is so disgusting. Anyway, let's read. So this is what. Hey, honestly, how has he been allowed to issue this statement as well? No, that's how it feels to me. He's been convicted, found guilty and convicted and sentenced to life without parole. And suddenly suddenly he's turning around. Oh no, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. I'm not guilty after all. I was conned into it. What a twat. What a total twat. Sorry, you can tell that I'm really angry. So I had this statement prepared, and of course, then it disappears. So let's see what he said. So this is the statement from Brian. Over a year later, it is self-evident that the State versus Koberger justice was not served, according to him. So justice was not served. Oh no, it's just gone off that again. Let me find it. Justice was not served. Well, do you know what? I sort of agree with him in a way. Because justice was not served. Because he didn't get the. Oh, come on, where is it? Sure, AI will fish it up for me. Let's see. So, I'm just looking for the actual statement, and I can't get it up on anything. Well, I can get it up on the New York Times, but then it gets. Anyway, justice was not served. Unanswered questions seem to multiply with each piece of discovery unsealed. The public demands the truth. F off. Unfortunately, myopic narrative. A work of fiction. You start reading it, and then it comes up and asks you to. Right, let's try and find it on Twitter. Probably found it on Twitter. I just want the statement up there that I can read out, please, Internet. I don't want to have to go behind the paywall to read out a statement that's public statement. So it is hereby declared that. Right, need me glasses. Need me glasses. There's a lot of people out there that think he was framed. Honestly, sorry, it just makes me laugh. It is hereby declared that during attorney-client discussions, most of I can't read that. Can't read that. It took too long to read it. Sorry, I've got to find the printed version. Can't read that. Here we go. I think I might have found it. Over a year later, it is self-evident that in State versus Koberger, Justice was not served. Unanswered questions seemed to multiply with each piece of discovery unsealed, and the public demands the truth. Unfortunately, the truth will never be derived from the state's myopic narrative, a work of fiction which has yet to evolve since the PCA was released nearly 4 years ago, and its faulty premises were never challenged at trial. Circumnavigation by a broken plea, the trial never provided the public the clarity conducive to closure, and justice shall remain abjectly miscarried unless that plea is withdrawn. I hereby declare my intention to enter a not guilty plea and welcome the state the opportunity to prove their case at trial. So basically, he wants another trial because he wants the attention, doesn't he? But the thing is, he could end up getting the death penalty. I hope he does. I hope he does. If this case does go to retrial, maybe he'll be then get the death penalty, because he only avoided the death penalty because he pled guilty. Twonk. He says, I welcome the state the opportunity to prove their case at trial, as well to again file for the death penalty. My actual innocence is my truth, and the plea hinged on by false promises and blatant disinformation must be withdrawn. Oh, of course it must be withdrawn, Brian, because you fucking say that it must be withdrawn. So if anyone cares about what you think, twat. Sorry, oh gosh, I'm getting really angry. Thank you for all those who believe in my innocence. Another load of twonks. And continue to critically analyse the case. I send my love to my family, who have never wavered in their belief in who I am and their belief in my innocence. So, is that right? His family believe he's innocent? Oh my God. Oh, I'm just thinking about, I didn't really go into this case too much because there was just so many people talking about the case at the time. Sometimes I try and avoid cases that are really, what's the word, infamous, if you like, and talked about a lot on podcasts, because there's enough people talking about it, the cases. But what I have hated about this case is the predominancy in Brian Koberger. Every day it's, even now, even before this, it's something about Brian. So he's like a fucking celebrity. What about these victims? That's all I wanted to talk about. The victims, their families. And now this twonk, he's making me talk about him again. This is his lawyer. Look at the way she's looking at him. You almost felt like she fucking fancied him. I don't know. What's wrong with people? They find, serial killers or mass killers attractive. How could you find that attractive? Look at him. What's wrong with people? She's looking at him like, honestly, I was watching, one of those body cam videos late last night when I was up late. And it was a woman who had killed a little girl. It's very similar to the Preston Davy sort of scenario. But it was this little girl, it was only 2, and it was her biological mum who had murdered her. Maybe accident, maybe she didn't mean to murder her, but anyway, don't you? There was a voice note like that she'd sent to her twat of a boyfriend to show how the little girl was crying. Oh my God. You know, when you wish you could unlisten something. That little girl was so, a bit like those videos of Preston Davy when he was so distressed, and that twat that murdered him didn't care. That's how these were videos that a mother had sent to her partner of this little girl in obvious distress. She was heartbroken. She was crying. She's like, oh, she never stops crying. Well, you could tell she was in clear distress. She was heartbroken, this little girl. Anyway, she killed her. She killed her by trying to shut her up. And when she was in court, even when she was in the interrogation room, I was just sat here watching it. I was thinking, do you know what? She had quite long hair, and I would have to just get hold of her hair and punch her right in the face. I just wouldn't be able to be calm after hearing that audio of that little girl in the distress that she was in. Even now, it's making me feel. I would have to punch her in the face. I wouldn't care if I was law enforcement. I wouldn't care if I was a defense attorney. I don't give a shit. Somebody should have punched that woman right in the face. That's what she deserved. I didn't even know that little girl. So, you know, I'll never understand. The defense attorney was just like sat there, and I was thinking, you know, just punch her. Anyway, then you've got this defense attorney. Of course, we shouldn't propagate violence. I know that, but I'm just trying to explain how angry it makes you feel. So this woman defended him. She's looking at him like she's in love with him on that photo. You know, he knocks me sick just to look at him. Look at that. Look at him. He's revolting. How could you look at him with all that sort of adulation? Anyway, he's got all these women writing to him, all these Koberger fans who are convinced of his innocence. You know, just something wrong with some people. Literally, there is. How you could look at him and find him attractive, I have no idea. He looks like a living corpse on that photo, to be honest. You know, just awful, isn't he? And I agree, David. Personification of evil. Absolute personification of evil. If you ever want to see evil, he's it. But yeah, I think what this man is doing in this appeal surely won't get his case reheard. You know, when I first saw it, I thought, oh my God, that's not possible, surely. And then I'm thinking, that surely that can't happen. Please, God. You know, so I'm sick of living in this parallel universe. Please, God, say it can't be true. He cannot have this conviction overturned, surely. And the family's got to go through it all again. Anyway, I just thought I'd let you know about that. This is what's happening with Koberger. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Such a twonk. He was lucky to get life without parole, and he didn't have to explain his reasons for doing what he did. You know, I thought he got off really lightly, actually. You know, just, there you go, 4 lives. So you're talking about 4 lives that were lost because of this man. And, you know, we've talked about the ripple effect. So that's 4 victims. But the other victims, each of those young people had family who were also victims and friends. The ripples go out from this crime. Koberger is not only responsible for the murder of these 4 lovely young people who had their whole life in front of them, he's also responsible for the traumatization of their families, their friends, and, you know, just the general public who have been traumatized by hearing all the details. So Koberger, he's a bad man. He's a bad alien. He is, he's going to spin in hell, hopefully, for what he's done. But he's making it even worse. He's like sticking in the knife even more. Because that's how he's getting off on, is how he's getting his jollies, because he's bored shitless in prison. This is, he's sort of getting some effect from this, isn't he? And what he's going to put the family through. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know about that. Let me just, my heart goes out to the families. I just cannot imagine. It's bad enough what they've been through. And, at least his sentencing, etc., was some sort of comfort, cold comfort. And now they've got to go through it all again. Because this turd will not flush. Horrible man. Just horrible. Right. I'm going to try and calm down now, which won't be easy. Because now I'm going to talk about Celeste Rivas, and what she's went through with David. So this is Celeste. I think you all know about the case. You'll have watched about it on my channel. 13, 14 years old, probably 11 when she was groomed. Yeah. Now with what we've had over the last couple of weeks have been the preliminary hearings before the grand jury, just really to decide whether David should go to trial or not. Anyway, I think predictably the judge has come to the conclusion, yes, there is plenty of evidence against David for it to go to trial, so it's going to go to trial. But there's been quite a few disturbing things have come out of these preliminary hearings. I think the most disturbing things have been the fact that we found out that Celeste actually had to have a termination of her pregnancy at the age of 13. She had to make an adult decision, a decision that even grown women struggle with, whether to have a termination or not. Nobody just thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to have a termination, dead easy like decision, is it? It's a big decision and people have to live with it for the rest of their lives. Quite often women make those decisions because they think it's the right thing. And God, it's just reminded me of a story, a real life story that happened. I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. And Celeste was 13 years old making that decision. It's hard enough for a grown adult woman to make that decision and know they've got to live with it, even if they think it's the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do, whatever they think. They're the ones who have to live with it. And I know many women who have done that, and I found it difficult to live with. Then there are other women that will always think, oh no, I did the right thing. But what my point is, Celeste was too young to have to make an adult decision. Anyway, the story that I just want to tell you is many years ago when my son was first born, he was only a baby, and I was going from Reading to Manchester to visit my family. And I got on the train in Reading, and it was really busy. The train was busy. I'd booked a seat. And so I sat down, I've got my son on my knee, and this girl came walking up the carriage, and there was a spare seat in front of me, and she said, do you mind if I sit in that seat? And I said, no problem. I said, but I don't know if it's been booked, because you could book your seat. And she said, well, I actually did book a seat, but when I've gone to my seat, somebody else is sitting in it, and I can't be bothered with the argument. So I'm looking for a spare seat and I'll sit here if you don't mind. And if somebody comes who's booked it, well, I'll have to move. So she sat down in front of me, opposite me. Nobody came and got on that seat. So we started talking. And obviously, when you're traveling with a baby, you get a lot of attention. So she's, talking about the baby and this, that, and the other, my baby that I've got sat on my knee. And then she starts telling me, it's amazing on trains, isn't it? People start telling you their life story. Anyway, she was pregnant. She'd just found out she was pregnant, but she'd already split up from her boyfriend. So she didn't know whether to have the baby or not. Because she knew that if she had the baby, she would be a single parent, because her and whoever it was, the father, there was no way their relationship was going to get back on track. So she was sort of, we got talking, and of course I was a single parent, and she was saying, what's your experiences? How does it feel? Do you think you did the right thing in having the baby, and blah, 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 blah. And we had this long conversation. She didn't go all the way to Manchester. She got off sort of about halfway, maybe Birmingham or somewhere like that. Anyway, as she got off, she said, I should give you my phone number, and then you can find out what I decide in the end, whether to have the baby or have a termination. And I sort of regret this in a way, because I said to her, no, don't give me your phone number, because I don't want to put any pressure on you, or, it's a decision you've got to make. And, I don't want you thinking, I can't tell that woman that I met on the train that I had a termination, or blah, 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 blah. I said, it's your decision to make. I said, so no, don't give me your phone number. I wish now that I would have taken a phone number, because I think about a lot, and I think, did she have the baby, or did she have a termination? And whatever decision she made, it was her decision to make. So, and I understood in the circumstances, you've just split up from someone, then you find out you're pregnant. She knows she's going to be a single parent, and being a single parent is hard work. It's really hard work. But anyway, so I don't know what she decided in the end. But the point I'm trying to make is, she was a grown woman. She was in her late 20s, I'd say. Similar age to me. I was a little bit older. I was probably 34 at the time when this happened. I'd say she was about 28, 29, though she never told me how old she was, or not that I remember. So she was struggling to make a decision. Celeste was 13 years old, and having to make a decision like that. I think it's terrible. Hi, Sean. David was a man, even though he was a young man. I mean, we mustn't forget, David wasn't exactly, wasn't 30, was he? I think he was 19 or 20, but he was still an adult in the eyes of society. And he'd been grooming this girl since she was 11 years old. Look at him. You know what? If any picture tells you a story, God, if only, when you look back and you look at the photos like this that David had taken, and the songs that he was singing, it's just obvious that he's a freak of nature, isn't it? That he's a psycho of some kind. Anyway, but of course we only know with hindsight. So the other thing that's coming out is that the text that went between Celeste and David, seems apparent that actually Celeste's parents did know about their relationship, because they had to give permission for her to travel abroad with him. His parents knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew about this relationship that he had with this 13-year-old girl. So although maybe his parents thought she was older, but her parents knew exactly how old she was. Now, I'm not judging her parents. I know what it's like with teenagers. If she decided she wanted to see David, they weren't going to stop her, whatever. I mean, maybe they would have stopped her going away on trips with him, but you don't have to go away on a trip to have sex. They could have sex anywhere. They were never going to stop that. Some parents look on it as just need to be realistic. You can't stop. I honestly think you won't be able to stop a 13-year-old girl who was in love with an older man, an older young man, if you like. She wanted to see him. She probably would have just ran off to see him. But whether they should have signed those forms that meant that he could take her away on trips, I don't know. You let me know what you think. I think Celeste's parents are absolutely heartbroken about what's happened to Celeste. And sometimes you just think, well, I'm sure they're beating themselves up enough about maybe missing signs, or they shouldn't have let her go away with him. They shouldn't have done this and they shouldn't have done that. I'm sure, they're going through enough themselves. They don't need me to tell them how stupid they were. I'm sure they know they were stupid. But how do you stop a teenage girl? How do you? Because anyway, there's just, I don't know what to say about that, really. So other texts that are coming out though as well that are disturbing is apparently Celeste herself actually being quite aggressive towards David. And I'm certain he's going to bring this up in his defense, and what that David is. I think I know. Can you hear me okay? I think you can hear me. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm 100% certain that David is going to try and bring up some sort of self-defense. That Celeste turned up and she was going to kill him, and he's just going to come up with some right load of crap, isn't he, as to how this happened. And of course we've only got his word for it, because Celeste is dead. And of course we've got the text. So there are texts where she was sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, saying bad things to him and saying she was going to expose him. There are these texts. So is that what his defense is going to be? Is that how he's going to defend himself? Say that Celeste was out of control? Anyway, we'll find out soon enough. He's going to trial. And look, this that really, it's like it, didn't help her. Did it? Didn't help her, the cross, sadly. Anyway, so apparently, so this is the New York Post. They say text messages reveal Celeste Rivas threatened to end David's career before she was meant to end his career. So explosive new text messages allegedly sent between Celeste and David show she threatened to ruin his career the day before she was murdered. The messages were shown in court on Monday as part of the preliminary hearing for David. The two had a heated exchange on April the 22nd, 2025, where Rivas, or Celeste even, was apparently jealous of another woman that Burke had been hanging out with. Bro, just bump her into no friend's acquaintance friends with her over me is disturbing and disgusting to me on a deeper level, David. So it sounds like she was a bit jealous. No, this poor Mona Lisa. Look, it's that Mona Lisa face. She never looks very happy, does she, Celeste, in any of her photos? And he said, "When did I say I'd end my friendship with you for her?" Bert replied. "Bro, I said I didn't want to be friends with you if you want to be friends with her," Celeste texted. Celeste then accused Burke of having the woman over at his home. "Oh my effing God, I will kill you," these texts said. "I will effing kill you. She was in my seat. I will strangle you to death. I will end your career and life. I will tell my dad," she texted. It's just, see, there's the immaturity there. So she says all these like really threatening things. "I will kill you. I will effing kill you. She was in my seat. I will strangle you." And then at the end she says, "Tell my dad of you." So, but her dad knew that she was seeing David. He must have known, because the family had to sign the permission for her to go abroad. So, I don't know. It's a horrible case, this, isn't it? So then the very next day, on April the 23rd, Burke arranged for an Uber to drive her to his home, where he allegedly stabbed her to death, according to prosecutors. And they said that the singer was afraid of Celeste ruining his career by going public with their relationship. So then was significant cause to take the singer to trial. So basically, it's going to trial. It's going to trial. All these messages came out where they were discussing the pregnancy. David apparently apologized to Celeste and wrote, "I'm sorry, baby, I didn't want to ever put you through this." But he did put her through it, didn't he? Anyway, this is Celeste's mum and dad and their solicitor. They have gone every day to the preliminary hearing. They've had to sit through some horrible things. And of course, over messages, he asked her, was it his baby? Anyway, I don't want to go into all the details of the dismemberment, etc. Is there is going to try evidence. So it's going to trial, and then I expect we'll learn even more then, won't we? About Celeste and David. It's a horrible, horrible case. So many horrible cases at the moment that we're dealing with, isn't it? That we're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's definitely going to claim, David, that, self-defense or some crap like that. I 100% certain he's going to come out. Where else has he got to go? Where else has he got to go with this case? Where can the defense go? She was found dismembered in the front of his car. How they're gonna defend that, except by maybe saying it was self-defense, and then it'll just be his charge will be like manslaughter instead of murder. I don't know. Horrible. It's a horrible case. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to tell you about, of course, is the latest development in the Nancy Guthrie case is Savannah has come out and made another statement. I think it's a very cryptic statement. I think Savannah looks terrible, like really sort of just desperate. Let's have a look at it. Let's watch it first of all, and then we'll talk about it. So let me share it. I mean, so for anyone who doesn't know, though, I just think if you watch my channel, you must know about this case. Poor Nancy, 84 years old, disappeared in the middle of the night from her home in Tucson, Arizona. Kidnap notes were sent. Were they genuine? Why haven't they been traced who they came from? You know, this is 6 months ago. This was the end of January. I'm not going to go into the whole case and all the twists and turns. But although there's been a lot of twists and turns, basically we're no further on, are we? Despite having door cam footage of the alleged perpetrator who had a balaclava on and a gun and a great big backpack, and you know, we're just no further on. We have no clue what happened to Nancy. Nancy disappeared into a puff of smoke, and the only thing that was left behind was a load of blood on the porch, but not enough blood to suggest that she may be dead, but enough blood to suggest she was injured, of course. That's all we know, isn't it? No DNA results have come back yet. Nobody's identified the guy on the CCTV. Nobody's traced, the FBI hasn't managed to trace the ransom notes. You know, it's the weirdest case. I think this is, you know, the weirdest case that I've ever covered, personally, I think. Right, okay, so let's have a look what Savannah's got to say.
I'm coming on today with a very specific message. It has been months since our mom was taken from us. Our family is in agony. We are in a nightmare that will not end. Nothing about our situation has changed. We have done our part, and we will never stop looking for her. We will always ache for her and feel that hole in our hearts. The world can be a cruel and unforgiving place, and I know that you have tried to do things the right way. So I'm asking you, begging you, to do the right thing now.
Who is she talking to? You know, when she says, I know that you have tried to do the right thing. Who does she mean? Who's tried to do the right thing? How can it be the right thing? You know, to kidnap an 84-year-old woman? Or is she talking about the latest notes that seem to be from someone who said that they knew what had happened to Nancy, but they weren't involved? And I just have to say, poor Savannah, I mean, she just looks, you know, no offense, but, you know, she looks awful. You can see the misery that she's going through in this video, especially.
Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. I truly believe it is never too late to do the right thing. Help us bring this situation to an end. For all of us, no matter where we've been and what we've done, I believe there is always a way home. Please make the right choice.
Yeah, please make the right choice. Never too late to do the right thing. As you say, Kelly, we've done our part. Have they paid money then? What does she mean, we've done our part? Let's watch it one more time. Poor Savannah. And the poor family, if it turns out that the family are not, because I'm not 100% certain of anything. I don't know that the family were involved, weren't involved. I have no clue. So, if it ever turns out that the rest of the family were involved, I don't know.
I'm coming on today with a very specific message. It has been months since our mom was taken from us. Our family is in agony. We are in a nightmare that will not end. Nothing about our situation has changed. We have done our part, and we will never stop looking for her. We will always ache for her and feel that hole in our hearts. The world can be a cruel and unforgiving place, and I know that you have tried to do things the right way. So I'm asking you, begging you to do the right thing now. Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. I truly believe it is never too late to do the right thing. Help us bring this situation to an end. For all of us, no matter where we've been and what we've done, I believe there is all.
That's a funny thing to say, isn't it? For all of us, no matter where we've been or what we've done. What is she trying to say? I don't believe that this message was just spontaneous. Everything she says in this message will mean something. So there's quite a lot to pick out of it. Maybe I'll come back at some point and we'll just go into it more. I haven't got much time now. But we'll watch this to the end, then we'll watch it one more time, then I've got to go, sadly.
Always a way home. Please make the right choice.
Yeah, please.
I'm coming on today.
Please make the right choice. There's quite a lot she says in there. Hi, Miss Lee.
With a very specific message. It has been months since our mom was taken from us. Our family is in agony. We are in a nightmare that will not end. Nothing about our situation has changed. We have done our part, and we will never stop looking for her. We will always ache for her and feel that hole in our hearts.
I said we will never stop looking for her, but they haven't really been looking for her. I'm honestly just saying this, just how it seems to me. How have they been looking for her? They've not been out leafleting, they've not been out searching. They didn't like the YouTubers hanging about outside the home, etc. When she says we will never stop looking for her, what are they doing to look for her? But maybe we just don't know. I don't know. But as far as I know, there are no searches being conducted.
The world can be a cruel and unforgiving place, and I know that you have tried to do things the right way. So I'm asking you, begging you to do the right thing now. Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. I truly believe it is never too late to do the right thing. Help us.
Who is she talking to? Is she talking, I still, I just don't feel like the kidnap notes were genuine. Well, they were genuine, but I still think this is a targeted murder dressed up as a kidnap. That's how it feels to me. I just don't understand where this appeal has come from.
Let's bring this situation to an end. For all of us, no matter where we've been and what we've done, I believe there is always a way home. Please make the right choice.
Always a way home. Yeah, very strange language, but
I'm coming on today with a very specific.
in every appeal video they've made, it's been strange language, I think. Like maybe it's the FBI behind it saying, look, go on, say this. I just don't know. I mean, this is the weirdest case. Honestly, we have no idea in this case. But my overwhelming feeling is that Nancy was targeted because of herself, for whatever reason. I don't believe it was to do with Savannah. That's just the way I feel inside, but I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue. But I'm not the only one who's got no clue. It seems like nobody's got any clue. Anyway, I've got to go. So listen, thank you for caring about all these 3 cases. So we've got Koberger seeking for a new trial where he's going to plead not guilty instead of guilty. What a CUNT he is. Then we looked at, of course, the David and Celeste case with a CUNT. And in this last thing that I've spoken about, we know that there is a CUNT involved somewhere along the line, whoever took Nancy, but we just don't know who it is yet, do we? So will someone come forward? I mean, there's over $1 million reward available. So, surely someone will come forward and try and claim that reward. I don't know. But yeah, thank you. And as you say, David, please hit the like button, leave your DNA on the subscribe button. I'll be back if there's any developments in these cases or any others. Thank you so much. Take care. Look after you. You are the most important person. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you.